As US planes continue to pound Islamic State targets, British parliamentarians are voting on whether the UK joins the coalition to fight against the militant group. Anti-war campaigners denounced Prime Minister David Cameron's proposal, gathering outside Downing Street on Thursday, saying no to military action in northern Iraq and Syria. They said innocent civilians will be killed in strikes. The Prime Minister has recalled Parliament's summer break for the emergency vote on allowing Britain's Royal Air Force to hit IS targets in northern Iraq. The action has the backing of all three main parties and is expected to pass. And we can get some clarification on this because we're joined by our correspondent Richard Bestick, who's outside the House of Commons in London. Welcome, Richard. I understand Parliament's debate is in fact still underway. Where does the general consensus lean?
Well, it gets underway, Edwin, in around about 20 minutes from now, and the consensus is that David Cameron will get his way. He will get parliamentary backing for airstrikes against the Islamic State in Iraq. Very different from a year ago, when you'll remember that this place was voting on airstrikes against Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's chemical weapons stockpile. The Prime Minister misread the moment, misread the mood then, and Parliament rejected his application for permission to bomb those chemical stockpiles. This time he's done the groundwork. In the words of one former government advisor, the lawns have been mowed. You saw David Cameron at the UN earlier in the week making the case for airstrikes, both for doubters in the international community and of course here in Britain domestically. He's also managed to get on board the Labour opposition, who last year rejected his plea for air attacks against airstrikes against Bashar al-Assad's stockpile. This time he will have their support. And there's something else, Edwin. This year there is a different mood in Britain following the atrocities excuse me, the atrocities witnessed on YouTube against both Westerners and those living on the ground in Iraq. The mood is very much now, according to latest opinion polls, that Britain should participate in this international coalition of states in airstrikes against the Islamic State, IS. That doesn't mean it'll be easy. It doesn't mean that there won't be voices raised against it, both on the streets around Parliament and inside Parliament, because returning to Iraq for war for a third time in just over a decade is still a hugely sensitive issue here in Britain, Edwin.
Yes, Richard, as you say, a different mood now, and just 1 year on since that previous attempt to get troops in. But what can we expect next if, as it seems, Parliament will approve British planes joining the air campaign?
Well, the practicalities of the day are that the members of Parliament here will vote at around about tea time in London, early evening. It is anticipated they will give, unless there is something extraordinary happens, they will give the go-ahead for these airstrikes. At that point, within hours of that, RAF, Royal Air Force Tornado jets will take off from British bases in Cyprus and attack the Islamic State inside Iraq. It will be a significant moment. Once again, Britain involved in a war in Iraq. There will be those who say it shouldn't happen. Their view is that there is not enough of an exit strategy in what's being proposed here, that there could be mission creep, and certainly what the MPs inside Parliament will be discussing today will be attacks on IS inside Iraq, not inside Syria. But there could be, at a later stage, mission creep. There are also concerns about the cost. This is, even now, a 3-year campaign that's being planned. There are cost consequences to that, to an exchequer already engaged in deep austerity measures. So, yes, the Prime Minister David Cameron will get the go-ahead. Will there be concerns? Yes, indeed, there will be concerns at the same time.
Thank you, Richard, for that. That's Richard Bestick reporting to us from London.